All right, good morning. It is May 27th, 2020, day 25 of Flippin' Live. Day 25 of Flippin' Live, who knew it would rhyme? I'm Andrew from 510 Books, and today we're going to talk about 5 ways to source books for resale. The beginning of the video is going to be about that, and then we'll jump into questions and comments that people have and go from there. But we're going to talk about 5 ways to resource books for resale online or locally. But let's jump right into it.
Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live. We're gonna strive. We're here to learn and gonna earn. Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live. We're flippin' live.
Good morning, everybody. I want to say hello to everyone here that's joined us live here at 7 a.m. on the West Coast, at least here in Southern California. But wherever you are, in the morning, we are going live every day. This is our 25th day of going live, getting close to 4 weeks in a row here. Today, our topic is going to be 5 ways, as you can see here, 5 ways to source books for resale. And I want to preface everything I'm going to say with, that we are living during unique, terrible times with the quarantine, with the virus, getting so many people sick and etc. And so a lot of places, a lot of these sources are not accessible right now for a lot of people, and might not be for a little while. But regardless, when things do get back to normal, these will be the 5 main ways, especially if you're a beginner, and even people that have been doing it for a few years will be using. So just keep that in mind. And Brian just made a comment here about going to a thrift store, a second thrift store that opened in his area, I believe in Illinois, and finding a few things. But it's still, we're not quite sure when things will fully reopen. But regardless, let's dive into 5 ways. So when you're first starting out as a reseller of books, you've got to find books to resell. You've got to find books to buy inexpensively, and of course then turn around and sell them either on Amazon, eBay, or locally, whatever marketplace you're going through. For me, it was Amazon initially, and utilizing their FBA program. And the first one is thrift stores. Now, for me personally, when I first started reselling, I had actually, I want to say, never been to a thrift store. I maybe had stepped foot in one or two at some point in my life. In my life before I started reselling. But if I had, I don't have much of a recollection of it. And it was definitely a really brief visit. And so when I first started reselling, I learned that thrift stores were a great place to start, especially for books, specifically, and other media I found out later, but books specifically. Now, if you've never been to thrift stores before, you might have, I don't know, some preconceived notions or stereotypes applied to them that, I don't know, they're not the greatest places to go and that type of thing. But what you find out really quickly is that thrift stores are an amazing place in general, I think, for what they do, the service they provide, but that they have so many books in general. Some have more books than others, some have less books than others, but in general, they have lots and lots of books, and the books, generally speaking, are pretty inexpensive. And of course, they are filled with clothes and some furniture and all different types of items. But definitely, as you go through different thrift stores and find them, you will realize quickly that there are lots of thousands of books in these stores. Um, yeah. And what I wanted to say is, so So as you start going to thrift stores, so as you start going to them, you'll realize there's a lot of thrift store. I mean, there's a lot of thrift stores if you live in a highly populated area, and of course, there's a lot of books in them, and they're relatively inexpensive. Anywhere between I've seen, excuse me, as low as 25 cents for a book, as high as like $5 or more. I mean, I've seen higher than $5, but generally speaking, for me, it's been between like 50 cents. Wow, excuse me, between 50 cents and $3. Uh, and on average, it's about a dollar to $2, but more like closer to $1 in my experience. But of course, everybody's different. Everybody's thrift stores are different. It depends on where you live, the city you live in, the region you live in, the state you live in. It's just going to be different, right? But by and large, I mean, it's going to be much, much cheaper, much less or much more expensive than if you go to a bookstore or something like that, of course. Than if you try to buy new, which of course doesn't make any sense for resale. These are going to be used books. So, so that's kind of the deal with thrift stores. And they're really, I mean, easy to find, right? You just go to Google Maps on your phone, type in thrift stores in your area, and see what you find. Like anything else, you're going to have to find out what works and what doesn't work. So in my area, there's dozens of thrift stores, within a 10-mile radius. And over time, I found out which ones were better than others. The other thing about thrift stores is, by and large, there are chain thrift stores that you've probably heard of, like Goodwill, like Salvation Army. Savers is another one. And there's other ones in your areas that might be specific to your region or part of the country that I don't even know about, that are chains that have multiple locations. I would say more than like 5 or 6 or so, or maybe dozens would be a chain for me. If there's only one, or if there's only 2 or 3, it's not much of a chain. But so there's those, like specifically Goodwill, Salvation Army, Savers, and those places are different than the one-off thrift stores, which tend to be the best for reselling in general. And I mean the standalone thrift stores that just have one location, mom and pop thrift stores. Usually the owner is working there, or if they're not there every day, they're there often, and you'll see them and they'll interact with you, and you might get to know them and that type of thing. Those are usually the best because the prices tend to be even lower there, and they might be a little more amenable or open to helping you out and giving you access to books that you might that other people might not see. So keep that in mind. However, I have made money, lots of money over the years at chain thrift stores like Goodwill. There's not really Salvation Armies where I live, but I've been to a few Savers. Savers is a little more difficult, but I would say with Goodwills, some are awful for reselling, some are okay, and some are great, depending on the type of media. Some have amazing CDs. Some have. I've done better with CDs personally at Goodwill's, but I've come across Goodwill book sections that have been not filled with, but that have had, I've come out with 10 or 15, 20 books that I can resell for a profit on Amazon through FBA. But then others, I go in there and I can't find a thing. Like I walked out empty-handed, and then I have to turn to looking at VHS tapes or CDs or whatever. So when it comes to books, you just kind of have to experience it. You have to go through the different thrift stores and see which ones are the best in your area. And I recommend visiting all of them, even if you've watched a video, read a blog, or went onto a Facebook group. People said Goodwill's terrible. Don't bother. Don't waste your time. Don't listen to them. Go to your own Goodwill in your area and try it out for yourself. It might be true. That might be one that's not very good for finding quality books for resale. The problem is that Goodwill and a lot of other chain bookstores sell on Amazon themselves. They have their own accounts. Goodwill has many accounts. You'll see Southern California. You'll see whatever random state. And they'll have a big operation where they're selling merchant fulfilled typically. So that means that a lot of times they'll get books and they'll actually scan them and keep the profitable ones for online. However, not all of them do that. Sometimes they just get donations and they put them right out. The donations go straight out on the floor. So visit them for yourself and see for yourself. I would suggest with thrift stores, like anything else, but especially with thrift stores, maybe create a schedule. It could be a rough schedule. It could be an exact schedule where you say, okay, I've gone to all these thrift stores and 6 of them are really worth my time. So I'm going to go every week to those thrift stores. And then you do that every week because they will be putting out new books. That's another thing you want to find out, when they're how often they're putting out books. There's thrift stores I've been to that put out new books every single day, and not just a few, but they put out 50, 100, a couple hundred books a day because they sell a lot of books through the course of a day. Other ones, they'll put out books like not very often. I'll go back a month. I go once and then a month later, and it's basically the same books on the shelf. People aren't buying them. People, maybe they're donating them, but they're not being put out. They're not rotating the books, not getting rid of stuff that's not selling. So you got to find out which ones have the better books, how often they're put out. Because if they're only putting out books once a week, it doesn't make sense to go there every other day because there's not going to be fresh books. You're just going to be scanning the same books, which doesn't make sense. So thrift stores for me was a great opportunity to start with. I was able to find a lot of books initially, and that's where you're able to get the experience of scanning books and utilizing either Amazon seller app for free or whichever paid app you might be using, like Scoutly, like Scout IQ. There's other ones that are pretty inexpensive. Scoutly's only $9.99 a month, which is really inexpensive to start, and it has tons of data. But if you're using the free app, whichever ones you're using. I used the free Amazon app for a while in the beginning, like over a year. Partly because I was stubborn, didn't want to change, but once I did change, I realized that it's much better with a paid app. And the more you scan, the more you learn, and that's the great thing about thrift stores is there's just so many books that you can, within a few weeks, you could have possibly scanned several thousand books, and so that means that you'll get more experience with that. So thrift stores are number one for me to start out, and it's the low-hanging fruit, people might say, because everybody can go there. There's thrift stores everywhere, etc. But guess what? A lot of people are lazy. A lot of people aren't consistent. And in my area, where there's I know there's lots of resellers in my area, but I don't see them at thrift stores. I've only seen a couple. I'm not kidding you. Over almost 6 years, I can think of a handful of other resellers, book resellers. I'm sure there were other resellers in other areas, but book resellers, I can think of 1, 2, 3, maybe like 5. I can count on one hand at thrift stores. I'm not kidding. So people, it doesn't matter. And I live in an area where there's millions of people. I mean, it's Southern California, not LA, but still, where I live, there's a lot, hundreds of thousands of people within a few miles, or within 5-mile radius. So it's not, don't worry about competition, even though thrift stores are the number one place, one of the first places that people go. Maybe your area is saturated with resellers, book resellers, I don't know, it depends, but don't give up or don't get defeated if you go and there's a couple other resellers. Go to a different store and come back a different time. So number one, thrift stores. Number two, garage or yard sales. This is something that I started doing in the beginning, and once I found out about garage sales and yard sales, I really started to hit those big time. Every weekend, just about every Friday and Saturday, I would go to yard sales or garage sales. Now, again, like I said in the beginning, as I prefaced in the beginning of the video, because of quarantining, most thrift stores are closed, and there's not very many garage sales or yard sales happening. But when things do get back to normal, people start doing that. These are still going to be the best ways to, as you start out, to find lots of books. So one of the places that I go for local or to find garage sales, because you can look on a lot of different sites that would show garage sales, like nextdoor.com shows garage sales. Craigslist used to, I assume they still do. Facebook, people post their garage sales on Facebook. I know for my local monthly warehouse sale, I posted on there and got a lot of people that found it. But there's also websites and apps. There is an app, which actually, what is it called on my phone? It's called Garage Sales by Map. And online, it's GSALR, which, 1 second. All right. I will show you right now. I will share the screen. Morning. I will share the screen here. So it is gsalr.com, finding garage sales near you. So I'm just typing in a zip code from up north, and then now, of course, like I said, there's not many garage sales. This only shows 2. This is very abnormal. Normally there would be a lot, especially during this time of year, and then you can just click on one and it'll show you exactly tables, tools, and you can read and find out what they have. And this probably had, look, digging out, anyway, clear the clutter. So just as an example of garage sales, that, or as a website that can help you with garage sales, there's some other sites as well, but that's the one that I use on my phone. 3-4 years ago, when I used to go to garage sales a lot before I got into buying bulk. I still recommend going, even if you're doing bulk, because there's so many of those that will happen. And as you know, things are generally really inexpensive because people are just putting their stuff out, and they want to get rid of it. Yes, they might want to make a little extra money. Some might be more greedy than others, but generally speaking, people just want to get rid of their stuff, especially books, because they are big and they are heavy. And so they want them gone. So often what you can do, which is what some people do, is they just walk up and they see people have a couple boxes of books, and they say, will you take $10 for all your books? And they got, let's say, 50 books or something. And they'll say, sure, whatever price you want to give them. Now, if you prefer just to scan the books, but if you don't want to sit there and spend time scanning the books, then you can just offer an amount and just take them with you. And if you can get good at selling books in other outside of just Amazon FBA, also merchant fulfilled, also eBay individually, but also in lots on eBay or even locally, then it can be worth buying up all of those books at once, so you don't have to waste your time just sitting there scanning. You can do that later in your house. So always you can make deals at garage sales or yard sales. Things can be super cheap. A lot of times people don't care if things are worth money. They just want to get rid of them, or they don't know that they're worth money, and they're not going to try to resell it themselves, so they're not going to try to haggle. Hey, this is a $30 book on Amazon right now. I want $20 for it. Take it for $1, take it for 50 cents. They don't care. They already got their use with it, and they want it. They want it gone, basically. So, as you know, when during the most popular times of the year, which is usually now, usually summer is really big for garage sales, or leading up to the summer. People are doing their spring cleaning, and then they're doing a lot of garage sales. There's usually signs everywhere every weekend. A lot of sales will be, some will be Thursday to Sunday, some will just be Friday, some will be Friday, Saturday to Saturday, etc. You can drive around and see signs, but use your app, because not every sale will be on the app. Sometimes you just have to drive around and find them. But I found a lot of valuable books at garage sales, a lot, for really inexpensive. And I would usually just buy them individually instead of buying all of them. But that's an option that you definitely have, and something to consider as you're starting out, if you don't want to sit there and scan them. But usually people don't have a ton of books. But I've been to some garage sales where people have a lot of books. And I went to one a few months ago before quarantine started, and they had boxes and boxes and boxes of books, and I ended up buying a healthy amount and doing well at that sale. So that's another big source for reselling books. And then number 3 is estate sales, which is a similar vein as garage and yard sales, except a little bit different. So the thing about estate sales is you can actually do even better at estate sales, because often people will have valuable items, because essentially what you're doing Essentially, with estate sales, is usually someone has passed away and an estate sale company has come in. Sometimes, not always a estate sale company, but often or more times than not, and they have set up the house for the sale. They've priced some things, whatever, but they're running it, and they're just trying to get rid of stuff and help the family make as much money as they can, but also get rid of everything. So it's a nice combination to where you can walk in there and you can often find some really nice books for pretty inexpensive. And you can also offer to buy all of them, or you can go on the last day and say how much for all the books, and they'll probably cut you an amazing deal if they have valuable books that you can sell. Let's say not just individually online, but in lots on eBay, you can make some money. Um, and estate sales typically will happen every weekend, and they'll often go from Thursday to a Sunday, or more likely Friday to Saturday. And they'll say the first day, everything's priced a certain way, and then the next day everything's half off or whatever. But I found that the most valuable items can be found at an estate sale. You can find valuable items at a garage sale, yard sale, but typically estate sales are even better. And I found a lot of pristine items because you're going right into someone's home, right onto their bookshelves where they have their books. And a lot of times they're in great condition. I mean, not always, but a lot of times they are. And I've been to estate sales where I literally went to an estate sale where there were thousands of books. This person was a huge reader and collector of books and had all types, fiction, nonfiction, every imaginable category. They even had collectible vintage books. And so I went in there and I bought, I don't remember how many books I ended up going out of there with, but a lot. And that was a bit of a different scenario. Not everybody has that level of books. There were two entire rooms packed with books, and then an additional room that even had more books. So that was a unique situation. But I have been to plenty of other estate sales where there are a lot of books and a lot of other types of media, and they are great for finding books for resale. So what you can do is go to estate sales. Let's see here, estatesales.net. Let's do. Okay, let me share the screen. So here's estatesales.net. This is one of the better, or the ones that I use anyway, that usually shows a lot of estate sales. So I'll just type in San Diego just for fun. And then there are actually some estate sales here or there. I'm not in San Diego, but there's a few, but typically there's tons of estate sales. And what they will do is, let's see. They will have lots of photos, so they will show you the days, and then they'll tell you what's there, and then they'll have lots of photos like this one, right? So this one, I mean, look, oh, that's sheet music, but here's some books, music books. There's probably going to be some money in there. Look at that, 50 cents a piece. Yeah. So there's still estate sales happening. People still need to sell their stuff. Looks like there's some books here, whatever that is. Typically there's not, typically, unless it's a specialized sale where the person had a lot of media, it's going to be a lot of other stuff. But, that was an example. I bet you there's some money in these music books. I bet you there's some money because this is very niche. You can see some of them are older. So anyway, just as an example, you can go to estatesales.net, estatesales.net. In your area and see how many estate sales are happening. They're probably still going to be happening during these quarantine times, but you might have to wear a mask. You probably have to social distance. They might only allow a certain amount of people in. Go to estate sales. You can make a lot of money flipping books and other media at estate sales. Those are huge. It's a huge opportunity. And all the dozens of estate sales I've been to, have I seen, how many other resellers have I seen of books? I can remember one guy. Honestly, I don't remember that many. One person sticks out because I saw him a couple different times, but then stopped seeing him. And aside from him, I didn't really see too many other resellers, to be honest. It's mostly just people, normal people, non-resellers, just going to buy stuff. There's a whole cohort of people that just like to go to estate sales and garage sales every weekend. They like to find deals, just find unique items. And that's most of the people you'll come across, not resellers, especially with books and media. There might be resellers selling other types of stuff, furniture or whatever, but typically not. So you'll usually, in my experience, be the only person there and have it to yourself. Unless they've advertised like tons of books, great for resale, something like that. Usually it's just, oh, we've got all these antiques, we've got all these silverware, we've got all this jewelry, all this furniture, paintings, clothes, vintage clothes, whatever. And then there'll be like a couple little photos of books. Oh, we also have some books, whatever. Because they know that books don't sell that, they don't sell that many books at an estate sale. And so it's not usually typically advertised that much, unless, of course, the person has a ton of books. Then, of course, they're going to advertise it more and show more photos. But typically, you have to scan and look, and finally, you'll find the photo of the bookshelf of books, or the shelf of records or CDs or DVDs or whatever. So it's usually not the main thing, but you have got to hunt in there and find it. And sometimes they won't even show it. They'll barely show it. You'll see it in the background. Oh, there's books there. So definitely go, because you'll probably be the only one. And they're usually run by, like I said, estate sale companies who put those on. So keep that in mind. Number 4, library book sales. And again, as I said at the beginning of the video, there's hardly any library book sales, at least in my area, happening right now because of quarantine and also because of the quarantine and the virus. But because typically library book sales are run by volunteers who typically are retired, and they are the prime candidates for getting sick from the virus and dying from it, to be honest. So I can imagine that those will open soon, but you never know. They might open and require masks and social distancing and limit the amount of people. So at some point they will reopen. And these are clearly great places for finding books because they are book sales. However, a lot of resellers go to library book sales. So keep that in mind. That's why it's lower on my list here. Although these aren't, well, no, these are kind of in my experience, ranked as the best places to go. So best place, thrift store, and then garage sales, estate sales, and then library book sales. I didn't find out about library book sales until later. When I started, I just found out about thrift stores, and then garage sales and estate sales, and I started to find out about library book sales. I'm a big reader, was a huge reader before I was a reseller, and if I would have known about library book sales, I would have gone to those constantly to find inexpensive books. So I didn't even know about that until I became a reseller, and then I found out about them. I couldn't believe there were these I went to the library before to get books, but I didn't know they had these huge sales. And they can be massive. There can be ones with 1,000 or 2,000 books, and I've been to ones that have had over 20,000 books. And books range anywhere from, I've seen 50 cents to $2 or $3. Usually it's $1 to $2 in my experience. Even at the higher priced ones, the lower priced ones, 50 cents, $1. There's one that I go to or have gone to that's quarterly, that the paperbacks are 50 cents and the hardcovers are $1, and that's it. Super cheap. Other ones might be $1 for the soft covers, paperbacks, and $2 for hardcovers. And other books might be even priced higher, but that's still really inexpensive. Huh? Okay. And anyway, so library book sales. There's a lot of things to think about when it comes to those. If there is any open in your area, or when they do open, is that there is a great website that is now pretty empty, but it's called, I will show it to you, Book Sale Finder. And this is the place where everybody goes, all resellers go, and of course buyers, to find library book sales. And you will find all different sizes on here. Here, I will show you all different kinds. So Book Sale Finder, this is for Southern California, but there's lots of people that advertise. But you just go down here, scroll down here, and here's all the dates, and here's all the locations. So here, we were just in San Diego. So San Diego, it has the dates here, June 6th, July 4th, 10,000 books not picked over. Children's 50 cents, hardback 3 for $1. Trade fiction, large paperbacks $1. Mass media, LPs. See, they have all different types of stuff. 10,000 books. I've never been to that one in San Diego, but this is a great place to find library book sales. And sorry, I'm getting distracted by my kids. That's what happens to live videos. Also, not every library sale will be put on this website, so it's a good idea to visit your local library and ask them about if they have put on a sale. Sometimes they won't put on a sale. Sometimes it'll be once a year, twice a year, every quarter, and not everybody's going to advertise on this site, but a lot do. So if your local library is not on here, then I would check with them as well, because I know my local library is not on here, but they do a book sale. However, I've been to it and it was way overpriced. Not worth it. Also, okay, well, actually, before I get into that, so library book sales are great because there's lots of books. However, there's competition, which doesn't necessarily matter. You should probably have a scanner that you can utilize coupled with your phone. Have a scanner, and you can have it in one hand and just scan quickly, running through the books really quickly, and then, but even if I'm behind another reseller, I almost always find books I can resell, because everybody has different parameters. Some people only want to sell books for $10 profit or more, $5 profit or more. They skip books that are great for eBay or merchant fulfilled. So do not get worried about there being 10 other resellers at a big library sale, because you can still make money. However, there is still competition, so it's not going to be like a thrift store, for me anyway, where I can walk in and have, oh, here's 2,000 books and no other resellers here, and no reseller shows up for the hour and a half that I'm here. They're all mine. It's not like that, but it doesn't matter. You can still make money. That's why you have to get good at knowing what to source, or what even to bother looking up. Hi Pat, hi Tom, thank you for showing up. We'll get to chatting in a second, so if you have comments or questions, definitely put them in the comment section there. We can chat after I finish with this part of the video. And so keep that in mind, right? That there are going to be competitors, but it shouldn't affect you. You shouldn't walk into a library sale and see all these other resellers and say, ugh, they found all the good books and now I can't make any money. Just dig right in and go for it. But diversify. Don't just do FBA. Do merchant fulfilled and do eBay. And consider lots as well. If there's, a series of books, the whole series, well, maybe you can buy them for 50 cents a piece, 10 of them, $5, but you can turn around and sell it for $40 on eBay. I don't know. You've got to get an eye for that, and that takes time and experience, which is why you've got to get out there and scan like crazy and look up a lot of books. The other thing about library book sales, okay. So the thing about libraries is typically if a library has a library book sale, they usually have a bookstore within the library, and that's open all the time. And a lot of times the prices are great in there, and you can find good books in there as well. So you can kind of add that to number 4, that you can go to library bookstores. Now, a lot of resellers will go there too, so just keep that in mind, but it doesn't mean you can't make money. I remember I went to a library book sale, a big one, and then actually it was their smaller version. They do like a huge one twice a year, and then they do a smaller one a couple times a year. And the smaller one I went to once, and then I never been in their bookstore before, so I went in there, scanned all their CDs, and once I found a bunch of a good amount, 10 or 12 or 15 or so, I can't remember, quality CDs, profitable CDs. The books, however, not so profitable, because that's where a lot of people go to scan, right? So keep that in mind. And those library book sales typically happen every single weekend. If you live in a higher populated area where there's many libraries. There's usually going to be libraries, even if you have to drive 10 or 20 miles every weekend, you should be able to find one, typically. Okay, so number 4. Now, number 5 is locally online, so such as going on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, even Craigslist, yes, Let Go app, OfferUp app, and Nextdoor.com, which you may or may not be familiar with, but that's a website that started a few years back and has really grown. It's super local, and you can find stuff on there. So basically, the idea of locally online is trying to, so you can try to find books individually. Like textbooks are a great opportunity, especially right now after school has ended. You can find individual textbooks that you might be able to buy for $10 or $20 and then flip for 5 to 10 times more your money, depending on what it is. Maybe not 10 times, but 4 to 6 times, let's say. You can do that individually, or people sometimes will just give away books for free. And if you find that out, then you can go pick those up and see if they're free. So it's just your time and effort to go pick them up. And then if there's nothing in there individually or to put as a lot, then you can just recycle them. But usually you'll find something in there. And that's great. Facebook Marketplace, I found a lot of books on there. Craigslist is not as good as it used to be, of course, but you can still find some stuff. And the local apps, Let Go and OfferUp, I find OfferUp to be better than Let Go. I found free books on OfferUp and have bought some, like I bought five tubs of books for $20 in March, which I'm going to be starting to go through either today or this week. That was the tubs that I went through that I showed you guys at the beginning when I first started streaming. We were going through those books when I was doing that live. I'm going to finally get to those, hopefully today. Anyway, and yeah, so $20 for a bunch of books. So you can do that. Nextdoor. I just went on Nextdoor the other day, and they have a section here called For Sale and Free. Let's see here. I will share the screen. Here's nextdoor.com, and this is the For Sale and Free. And they have all different types of categories on the side here. I can't even see it. Hold on. Let me move this over here. But what you can do is you can, and people give away stuff for free too, but put books. And I did find something here just the other day. Let's see if I can find it. So here's, I don't know what this is. Okay, $1. I don't know. Maybe some of these books are worth money. Maybe this Backyard Ballistics is worth money. That one stands out to me. Healing the Shame. Probably not. I don't know. But look those up individually. And if they're in these are all in my area locally. So I don't know where that is. But whoops. New cookbooks. I don't know. Maybe these are worth the money. You don't want to spend $20 on Harry Potter books, but I did find somebody somewhere. See, that says free. This is a free book exchange. Oops. Or gladly share. So some people will just give away stuff, exchange things. I don't know why this keeps changing. This is annoying. Wow. That's pretty annoying. I don't like the way that Nextdoor does that. Okay, donations. So I don't know why all of them just disappeared. That was really strange. That was really odd. Okay, well anyway, here they are. This person's selling a bunch of medical books. So anyway, you can see that looking for books for a free library, that is a great connection to make. And I will talk about that in a second. I'm going to leave that up. Oh, what is this? Free clothes, books, toys, games, VHS tapes. Ha! Huh. I might check that out. So just, it's funny. I went online a couple of days, whenever it was, earlier this week. I don't remember, whatever. You guys remember it probably when I went online and I did the local lookup live, and I found a source for gaylords of books, you just don't know what you're going to find. So you got to spend the time to do it. You got to dedicate the time. And you can find books to flip locally, right? Sometimes you can even get books for free or dirt cheap locally and then turn around and put them together as a lot and sell locally. You can find kids' books are ideal, especially during this time. Uh, I see people on Facebook, in some of the Facebook reselling, in some of the Facebook groups about reselling books who do a lot of local sales, porch pickup type of stuff where they'll be like, 20 critter books for $15 or whatever. I don't know how they price it, and then people buy them off of Craigslist. I've done it before. I've sold bundles on, I'm not Craigslist, on Facebook Marketplace. So you can do that. It's something you could specialize in or do on the side to make a few extra bucks. So these are the 5 main ones, and I wanted to add a bonus, which applies to all of these, and that is, drum roll, please, bonus.
Flippin'.
Whoops.
Dude.
Build relationships. So I'm kind of losing myself here behind all these, but I wanted to keep them up as people come in to watch this. And there are some more people watching. So build relationships. As you go out there into all these different sources and anything else, other type of sources, get to know people, right? If you're not comfortable with it, you should try to become comfortable with it. You don't have to do it. I didn't do it for a while. I didn't build relationships for a while, for years. But I wish I had in the beginning, because I would have found more books. So if you are more of the talkative type, or you don't mind it, you're quiet, but yet you can talk to people, then when you go into thrift stores, now Goodwill's not necessarily, but you still make friends at Goodwill. But the mom and pop smaller thrift stores, get to know the owners, the managers, the employees. Find out when the books come out. Tell them, hey, I really always looking for more books. When do you guys put them out? Do you have a schedule? Do you guys ever have, ask the question, do you guys ever get more books than you can put on the shelves? So they're sitting in the back and no one sees them? Because I guarantee you, if you ask that to 10 thrift stores, probably half of them, okay, I can't guarantee you, but a good percentage of them are probably going to say yes. That, oh yeah, we do. And then some will let you go in the back, which people talk about all the time. Go in the back room. The money's in the back room. It may or may not be, but it increases your chances of finding more quality books because no one else has gone through them. Doesn't mean there's valuable books back there, but there could be, because they haven't seen the sales floor. So no other resellers or anyone else clearly has bought them yet. So if you get backdoor access, maybe set up a once a week thing. Say, hey, I'll come by every Monday morning at 9 a.m. And anything you haven't been able to put out, I'll pay you whatever you're charging on the floor, $1, $2, whatever, and help you out. Because that's helping them out. It's helping them get rid of books, freeing up more space, and making more money. So not everyone will be okay with it, but you never know. Garage sales. Here's the other thing. If you print up a simple card, a business card, nothing fancy, just gonna have your name, your phone number, your email, and just say, you can just say something like, I buy books and other media, whatever. You can, on the back of it, you could list, I buy books, CDs, DVDs, records, video games, that kind of stuff, and just have your phone number, say text or call, and your email, and that's it. You don't need a website or anything. And just hand those out and say, yeah, my name's Bob, my name's Jane. I don't know. I came up with the most random names, but my name's Andrew. Here's my card. Give me a call, whatever. That's great. You can hand those out too. Doesn't cost that much to get some cards printed up. And so you can do that at garage sales and make connections. Estate sales, you can make connections with the estate sale companies if you build that relationship. They like to have somebody to go to. Often what they will do is they will let you look at everything before it goes on public sale, or they will call you once the sale's over and say, can you take all these books off my hands? And guess what? A lot of times they'll just give them to you for free. So it might be a lot of books, but if you're there right away, you're the only one, you're showing up every time, you take all the books off their hands, they're going to love you for it, and they're going to call you every single time. And they might even give you early access. Not every company is going to do that, but they might give you early access as well. And you never know what it will lead to. They might know another company, another person, etc. Library book sales, not necessarily. Oh, well, you want to build relationships with the people that work there. That's always nice. But in general, the more relationships you build, the more opportunities that will present itself. So let me see here. Feel free, guys, to comment and chat. Please ask me questions or provide other additional information if you think I'm missing out on something, because that makes the live streams much better. So I'm going to get rid of all these so you can clean that up there and leave this here for now to talk about the importance of building these relationships. So what I'm doing right now, this is another option that is, if you're new, if you have extra money, you could do, but if your limited funds don't do this, although here's what I would say: start a Facebook page. You don't have to have a warehouse, you don't have to have an office, you don't even have to have a storage unit. You can be working out of your house. You can start a Facebook page and call it whatever you want. You could call it Dean's Books, or come up with a name, Books and Media, Andrew's Books and Media, John's, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, John's Book Guy, the Book Guy, or whatever, and you can open that up and start building an audience through that. Just start posting and saying, I'm a local bookseller and that type of thing. You do that for free. You can send people to that that's your presence online. Also, if you have the money and you have the interest, you can start running Facebook ads for really inexpensive, like $3 to $5 a day, which is about $90 to $150 a month. This is what I've been doing. I've been talking about it for a few weeks, guys, and now I'm 3 weeks into running the Facebook ad, and I am seeing a lot of results. I have had I think 8 or 9 book donations. Today, after I drop my kids off, I'm going to go to a nearby city and pick up records for free. Why? Because I ran my ad, which is a video ad. I just made a short video and said, who I am, my company, where I'm located, that kind of thing. Like I said, well, you don't have to have a location or anything. You can just say, hey, I'm a local bookseller looking to help out people who aren't able to donate books to thrift stores these days. And, I've been selling online for whatever. You can say I'm a local bookseller selling online, looking to help you take care of your donations, right? I'll pick them up from you whatever day and time, so you don't have to worry about dropping those off. However you want to phrase it. You can also do a non-video. You could just do a graphic or text, but video tends to be more engaging. This is another level, of course, of book buying or trying to build relationships. But what ends up happening is you meet people. Because of this ad, I now have a connection, which I'm going to call maybe today, at some point this week, who is the daughter of a woman who owns a bookstore in my area that is closing. The woman is in her 80s and has had the bookstore has been selling books for decades. And it's a small bookstore, but they have a following. But she's closing it down. Her daughter doesn't want to run it. She's, I guess, to the age to where she can't. And it's going to close. And so now they need to get rid of those books. And so I have the number of the daughter, and I will call her, and they have books in storage, like 2,000 books, and they're just wanting to get rid of them all. I don't know what books they are. I'm going to have to find out, but these are the kind of things that can happen, building these relationships. I sell locally in my warehouse, so the more relationships I build, the better for my local sale, but also the better to get books. People like to just give books to you. If you build those relationships, they will give books to you. They will tell other people to give books to you. It will build really goodwill. On my Facebook page now, I've got people that love me because I have taken books off their hands And so when I post something, they will share it, they will spread it. Someone just posted a comment on my ad. It was like, they put the link, or they put someone's name, and they said, hey, check this out, you might like this. And then it turns out that person is like a school principal. That's what I mean. Like, that's the relationship you want, right? A principal knowing about you so they can tell all their teachers, who then will show up for me, show up my sale and buy a bunch of kids books. Anyway, it's just it's about building relationships. That's a huge part of this. So let's see, guys, who's here. Let me know if you're here, what's going on. I see Brian is here, went to a thrift store, found 8 books and 2 CDs. He says Savers used to be one of my favorite thrift store for books. Unfortunately, they start charging as much as $4.99 some books, and they started covering the barcodes with their own stickers. Yeah, Savers is not the best for reselling. That's what I found too. I've been to a few of them. Lag is here. Do you sell any vinyl? Lag, are you still here? Let me know. Yes, I do sell vinyl. I just went through 1,000 vinyl records. It ended up being less than 1,000, but I bought 1,000, and most of them I will be selling on my local sale. I have a stack of maybe 20, 25 that I'm going to list on eBay. Currently, I have a few listed on eBay as well. I used to go pretty big into vinyl on Amazon. Had sold hundreds of them a few years back, back in like 2016, 2017. But vinyl definitely is more time consuming. There's not very many barcodes on them. You have to look them up manually. It takes time to get to know vinyl and what's worth money. But once you do get good at it, you can make some really great money. It's just a little more time consuming. Pat said, are you talking about, Lag, are you talking about on Amazon or individually after it's sold on eBay or Merchant Fulfilled? Let me know. Pat says, I always feel uncomfortable scanning stuff at garage sales. I know. I felt that way too. However, so there's really, okay, I felt that way too, but don't worry about it, right? Like, they want to sell their stuff. It's funny to me, like, why did I feel weird scanning at a garage sale? Because they're selling their stuff. It's not a store, but it's essentially like a mini store that's been set up. They're trying to get rid of their stuff. So what does it matter, right? If we're trying to make money off of their stuff, they could have tried to make money and they didn't. They don't know how or don't want to, don't care. And so I would just be upfront about it. I mean, you don't have to walk in and be like, I'm a reseller, I'm going to scan your books. You don't need to do that, but you can just do your thing, right? I would have my scanner wrapped around underneath my phone, and most people, someone just, oh, is that? Yeah. Sorry, speak of the devil, I just got a message from the lady, the book owner's daughter. So she clearly is in a place where she wants to get rid of those books. Sometimes, guys, you want things, and it rains, it pours, and it's a good thing, but it can be overwhelming. So anyway, side note, which is great. This is very good. So back to the scanning at garage sales. Don't even worry about it. I know you still might feel uncomfortable, but just feel like, hey, you're helping them get rid of books. You're giving them some money, and you're relieving them of books that they're just going to end up either donating to a thrift store, recycling, or just throwing in the trash. And a lot of people feel bad about recycling or throwing away books, even though that's what happens to books eventually, right? Books, they get torn up, they get messed up, or they're just no longer popular. But anyway, so don't worry about it, Pat. I get it, but just go and do your thing. And if people might ask you, I've been asked, oh, are you reselling? And people are more likely to ask you questions and be interested in it than to be like annoyed, to be like, oh, you're a reseller? Oh, that's lame. I mean, I don't think I've ever had that happen. I won't say ever, but not that I can remember. I might get some funny looks, but who cares, right? Just do your thing, get your books, get out of there. Also, you might be able to just buy them all at once for super cheap, but I understand if you don't want to hassle with all the duds, but that's another way. Yeah. Don't I mean, I used to be like, oh no, they're gonna see me scanning, but but what do you call it? Uh, I kind of stopped, worrying after a while. I just like, who cares, right? I mean, if you don't want to sell your stuff, you wouldn't put it out here in your garage on a blanket or uh, in the front yard or in the driveway. So just do your thing. Yeah. Oh, eBay. Okay. Cheapest way. So I have boxes, vinyl boxes, or I have boxes for shipping vinyl records that I bought that I buy 25 at a 25 pack, and they're open like this, and then they fold perfectly over the vinyl, and that's how I ship it with eBay. Just media mail. The boxes are pretty inexpensive. I can't remember exactly how much they are. I think they're like less than $1 a piece. So include that in your price or your calculations for profit. But that's how I do it. That's worked out well. And the boxes are, sometimes I just have to put a little bit of bubble wrap in there to make sure the vinyl doesn't move around too much. But usually, not too much of that, and then just fold it over, and it's perfectly fine. It doesn't. It's not laying flat. It's like like this or whatever over the vinyl. So there's a little space that you can pad it with, and that's how I typically do it. So yeah. Yeah, guys. So which is 8 o'clock now. Just to recap for people that are watching it later on, or maybe came in later, we went over the 5 different ways to source at thrift stores. And they were, to source for books, and they were thrift stores, garage sales, estate sales, library book sales, locally, online, and of course the bonus of building relationships. And these are all right now. Whoops, sorry. Geez, wow. These are all ways that are still viable, very viable, of course, but because things are shut down, just have to be aware of that. And that maybe some of them, like library book sales and garage sales and estate sales, won't be happening as often, but things will slowly open and you'll be able to get back to that. So I appreciate everybody watching, guys. This week I've been concentrating on book reselling, topics that have to do with that. My idea is to do that for Thursday and Friday as well. I don't yet know the topic for tomorrow, but we'll come up with that and then talk about that tomorrow and Friday, and then take a break and maybe just open it up a little bit more. But as a live show, it definitely is more engaging and more valuable to all of us if you guys participate in the chat, offer up information, ask questions, so that when we don't have a set topic, like after this week, maybe we'll open it up a little more and just talk about a lot of different types of stuff. So come with your questions, come with your comments, your stories, that type of stuff. I like to try to think up of different stories, things that have happened as a reseller, weird, funny things that have happened, which continue to happen now that I'm getting book donations. I'm meeting all different types of people. Some are quote unquote normal, I guess. Some are a little odd. Some are different, which is totally fine. But it's always interesting. The more people you meet, the more stories you have, the more interesting this whole business is. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Play the music to get out of here. This has been day 25, if you can believe it, of Flippin' Live. So this is awesome.
Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live,
Excuse me.
flippin' live, flippin' live. We're gonna strive. We're here to learn and gonna earn. Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live.
All right.
Flippin' live.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Day 25 of Flippin' Live. Today we talked about the 5 different sources for finding books for resale online, and it was fun. I'm glad that we're able to talk about that and chat a little bit with all of you guys. I really do appreciate you guys showing up. This show is geared towards reselling, but open to talk about different stuff. Mostly keep it about reselling, but just be here for you every morning, 7 to 8. During this quarantine, which doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. I know things are opening slowly in different states, but in the meantime, we should just try to stay connected, learn from each other, and have some fun. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I'll be on tomorrow, 7 a.m. Keep booking, as I always say. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to start making vlogs again, just about my everyday goings on with my business and what's going on with stuff, and I'll start making those and editing and putting those up as well in addition to these. So look out for those in the next week or so. I'll be probably shooting one today. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks, and I will see you tomorrow. And guys, stay safe out there. Most importantly, if you're going out in public, wear your face mask, social distance, no hugs and kisses to people you don't know. So stay safe. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.